over your body, seeing all the waste, seeing what we've done, how we poisoned your grave.
Hi, I'm here because I want to talk to you about climate change. I know it's an issue that's very important to many, many people, especially people who are young enough to know they're going to be growing up in the age when climate change actually occurs. And what I want to do is first I want to explain what climate change actually is, why it happens, and then what the consequences are, give you some metrics so that you can understand where we are with climate change, and then talk about what we can do about it. Because we can stop it, and I want to make that clear. That is very doable. We have skeptics out there who will say, oh no, it's too expensive. I think they're ignoring the expensive part, which is the part that happens if we don't take care of it. So what climate change is the sun's rays come down just like they are here right now. And a certain amount of those rays, those heat rays, bounce back up. And if we had no atmosphere at all, it would be like the moon, because what would happen is they would hit the Earth and they'd bounce back into space, which is why there's no life on the moon, why it's totally freezing and it's impossible. It's because there's no atmosphere. And then we have planets like Mars where there's a bit of an atmosphere but not a lot of carbon dioxide to trap heat, and it gets cold and it's not really habitable. Then we have Earth. Earth was blessed with a certain amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because carbon dioxide traps the heat. Not all of it, but portions of it. And as a result, we live in a very temperate environment where life goes on, where there's water, where there's life, where there's butterflies and everything else. But that level of carbon dioxide that keeps it right at this nice temperature that we have has been constant right from 4,000 years ago when Moses was walking around. We had a certain amount. It's measured in parts per million, which is just a figure. It's a unit of the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of about 300 parts per million carbon dioxide. And because that level stayed constant for many, many years, the temperature of the atmosphere stayed constant as well. Well, then what happened was the industrial age started happening, and that's when we needed mechanical energy to make fabrics and make rugs and to manufacture different things. And once we realized that the water wheels weren't going to do enough, we started to look for thermal energy. In other words, how do you run an engine? The steam engine was invented roughly around the mid-1800s. In order to run a steam engine, you needed heat. So the heat that we employed was hydrocarbons, oil, gasoline, we'd burn wood. All of these things produce heat, which is useful because it runs the machine. The problem is it also produces more carbon dioxide because the carbon in the hydrocarbon fuels or in the wood or whatever we're burning combines with oxygen and forms CO2, which is carbon dioxide. So because of that, the level of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere has been increasing ever since about 1860, which has caused an increase in the temperature of the atmosphere of over 1 degree. That increase in temperature has caused a lot of problems, and you're kind of aware of them. You know there's been forest fires, you know there's been floods, we know there's been droughts, we know that there's been heat waves, but we've been able to tolerate those. So what we're doing though is we're continuing on a massive scale to burn hydrocarbons, mainly oil. We take oil out of the ground, we fry it up, and it increases the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which increases the temperature in the atmosphere. Right now we are 1.1 degrees Celsius, about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than we were at the beginning of the industrial age. As it goes up, it causes damage. Now the United Nations has established something called the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which measures this, and that's a body of hundreds and hundreds of very highly qualified earth scientists that go and figure it all out. And they have said, through research, and I believe it, that we have to keep the temperature from increasing by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, about 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. If we do that, it's survivable. We'll be okay. But we also have to, by 2050, cut greenhouse gas emissions to zero. In other words, net zero. For every emission we produce, we sequester, we put it in the ground, we do something to stop it from getting into the atmosphere. If we do that, we'll be fine. And I want to stress, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere lasts over 300 years before it deteriorates. So if we put carbon dioxide in the atmosphere today, we will have that same carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, those same molecules, those same parts per million, for over 300 years. So this is an emergency. We have to do this. I feel very impassioned about it. I've written songs about it. I was chairman of the Climate Change Subcommittee of the Florida Energy Commission. I've been advising the U.S. federal government on how to deal with climate change. So we have to get this under control this decade. Now it's 2022. We have until 2030 to get it under control. We all need to be cognizant of that and tell the people in charge that's what we want them to do, to get it under control.
Came right through without a warning. Hot wind blowing, fire storming. Everywhere I look,